First up, we're going to take a look at our ground tile. We have it selected right here. You can see the thumbnail image and the assigned tile type right here. Below it, we have the tile types that we can choose from. So we can look at these by selecting on them. When we select on them, it assigns that as the tile type. By default, the block standard is what gets assigned, and that's exactly what we need to use. So we'll go ahead and select on that one to get started. On the adjust properties, you'll notice we've got a number of different properties that we can choose from. These are set up to work out of the box so that when you do choose a certain type of tile type, there's a basic set of properties that are set up so that it can just work. But at the same time, you're going to want to go through and then adjust properties so that you can get exactly what you want. So let's start at the beginning. We've got our tile description. Under tile description, this is where we can actually put our name of the tile. We'll call this one our terrain jungle block. And then our description, we could do anything we want. It keeps the player from falling. Now this information is actually what's displayed to the end consumer. So when they're using your tile set or you're using your tile set, this is the information that you'll see. So tile descriptions you can put in and change at any point in time. General settings, these are going to be things where we can set up our images for our thumbnails, the offsetting, whether it's closer to the camera, further away from the camera. How quickly does it animate, the frames per second. We can also look at other information. Right now we don't need to go into it, but we have how this information gets saved, whether or not it's getting passed from one level to another. And then whether or not the lock states, whether or not this can be moved or erased. This is really useful when you're doing the co-op level design and you've got multiple people designing levels so that you have control over those tiles. You can set all of this up in here so that when you bring it into build a game, it's all set and ready for building games, whether it's one person or multiple people. We also have an option for compression, that we do an auto compression on the tile. And then I'm going to go ahead and leave this one off because we've got these compressed pretty good. Additional options with the visible in game and the receiving light. The visible in game, we'll see that with the camera when we actually want to turn the camera off so we don't see the tile in the game. Alright, so let's load up our thumbnail image. I'm going to click here to get the load. And you can see that it says floor, and that's the name of that tile. So let's go ahead and click on that. That'll be the thumbnail image that gets displayed in the tray at the bottom when you're inside of Build a Game. You can also just cancel that out if you want to, but we'll hang on to it because it's what we need. The image offset, I'm going to leave it at 0 on the home. That's going to be a good spot. Let's roll that back up. And we get to the rotation and scale. If we want this object to come in larger than just the default size of 10 by 10, which is just one tile size in length and width, we can do that. We can also do our offsets right in here. For right now, we don't need any rotation. We don't need any changing. We just want the default size, so we're going to leave that one alone. We get to a collider. We do want the collider, so we're going to leave that one checked. We've got other options in here that we'll take a deeper dive into when we get to them. We can go into our colors and our filters. Because this has more of a pixelized look to it, we're going to use the point filter mode so that it doesn't do any kind of blending or blurring. When it comes to the UV offset and repeat, I want to clamp this one because we're not actually repeating this one, so I want to make sure it's nice and tight on there. And whether or not we were doing infinite UVs and all kinds of other things. Our editor pivot point, this is to say when it gets created, where is it being generated from? Where is that starting point and then going out? We're going to do it right from the center so it comes right there. And this is actually all we need to set up for this one. There's a lot of other options in here, but at this point, this is all this tile needs. We'll move on to the construct tile. We can see that it's a basic block. We've got a little bit of extra overdraw right in here, and this is just because it's still in beta. But we've got our box right here. If we wanted to, we could adjust where that collider is going to be. We're just going to leave it right there at this square. And that gets our first tile out of the way. Then we'll start moving into the next ones.